Hello, welcome to the Learn English Lab. Today's podcast, Advanced English Listening Practice topic name is Formal versus Informal English in Real Life. We are so thrilled to jump right into this because really this topic sits right at the intersection of language mastery and, well, social mastery.
Really does.
It doesn't matter if you're a recent graduate, a seasoned international professional, or just someone who loves the nuance of English. The ability to shift seamlessly between styles is arguably the most advanced skill you can acquire.
I completely agree. It's not just about knowing words, it's about knowing your world.
Exactly. So today we're launching a deep dive into the art of the switch. How you navigate from crafting a professional high-stakes email to, sharing a casual story with friends.
Or even in the same day, right?
Yes.
Shifting gears from a boardroom update to a funny story at a dinner party.
That's the challenge.
It truly is all about mastering context and understanding your audience. This deep dive moves far beyond just memorizing grammar rules. It's about developing a kind of linguistic social intelligence.
It's a linguistic social intelligence. I like that.
And to understand it, let's maybe establish a core analogy right from the start. Think of language as an incredibly versatile toolkit.
Okay, the toolkit.
Within that kit, formal English is your high-precision instrument. It's the specialized, finely tuned tool you pull out when there's absolutely zero margin for error.
When the stakes are high.
Precisely. When things are delicate and where every single word has to fulfill a very specific function.
That's a powerful image. So if formality is the precision instrument, what does that make? Informal English in our toolkit analogy.
Informal English is the everyday multi-tool.
Right, the one you use for everything.
It's sturdy, incredibly adaptable, and it's built for speed and efficiency in common, relaxed interactions. It's designed specifically to foster warmth, to build quick rapport, and to convey emotion almost effortlessly.
So the goal isn't to be good at one or the other.
Not at all. The ultimate sign of an advanced English speaker is not just competence in one style, but the confidence and flexibility to wield both. When you master these complementary styles, you enhance clarity, you build significantly stronger relationships, and critically, you prevent those major communication missteps.
The ones that come from using the wrong tone in the wrong situation.
That's the one.
That makes perfect sense, and it frames our mission perfectly. So for everyone listening, here's how we're going to structure this exploration. We'll begin by defining the core characteristics of each style.
Getting the foundations right.
Then we'll spend a good amount of time dissecting their differences, vocabulary, grammar, tone, really getting into the technical why behind the choices.
And then the fun part.
Yes. The largest segment will be dedicated to exploring real-world applications through detailed narratives, stories that really demonstrate the consequences of these style choices.
And finally, we'll look at some advanced techniques for incorporating both styles into your own storytelling.
So let's begin. Let's open the toolkit and focus entirely on formal English. The defining characteristic is that it's the refined, rule-bound variant of the language. My first question is, why? Why does a language even need such a stringent, rule-heavy style?
That's a great question. And it exists because it is absolutely essential in settings where the primary goals are establishing authority, demonstrating respect, and ensuring absolute, undeniable clarity.
So no room for misinterpretation?
None. Think about it. If you are writing an academic paper, a legal contract, or a job application, ambiguity is your enemy. Formal English systematically removes personal bias and emotional clutter. It uses structure to build credibility.
It's sending a signal.
It's signaling to the reader or listener, I am serious, I have taken the time to structure this logically, and I respect the gravity of this situation.
So if objectivity is the goal, what are the key linguistic features we should be listening for? What makes something sound formal?
Well, formality prioritizes an objective, almost detached tone. This is achieved through a logical, often impersonal flow of ideas. You'll hear significantly more elaborate vocabulary, often with Latin roots.
The big words.
The big words, right. And sentences that are more intricate, complex, and maybe a bit longer, to include all the necessary qualifying clauses. And of course, the near total absence of slang and contractions.
So you would never say can't?
Almost never. Instead of, we can't solve this, you would write or state, we are currently unable to resolve this issue. It creates a bit of distance.
That's a very clear distinction. To really illustrate how this precision instrument is deployed, let's revisit that narrative of Alex, the recent graduate. He's in a high-stakes corporate interview at a tech startup in New York.
This is a perfect testing ground for formality. Alex is faced with a panel question. Could you elaborate on a team-based challenge you've surmounted?
Even the question is formal. They didn't say, tell us about a tough time with a team.
Spot on. The question itself sets the formal tone, and it demands a structured, non-casual response. Alex knows that his answer isn't just about what he did, but how he presents his competence.
And the detail in his response is fantastic. The source material highlights his structure. He says, during my internship, our team was confronted with a critical deadline exacerbated by unexpected software malfunctions.
Just stop there for a second. Look at those word choices. Confronted with, not hit with, exacerbated by, not made worse by. This is deliberate.
He continues, I initiated a comprehensive reassessment of our workflow, reallocating tasks, which culminated in the project's timely and efficient completion.
See that structure? He introduces the conflict clearly, he details his organized, measured actions, and he concludes with a positive resolution. We can connect this right back to our analogy.
The precision instrument.
It's a precision instrument needed to cut through the ambiguity of a high-pressure story. And that word culminated in, it's so much more effective than saying, and it ended up. It provides closure and sounds incredibly professional.
It adds weight, doesn't it? It makes the story sound like a case study, not just a complaint you'd share over coffee.
That's the key. The sophistication of the vocabulary, the lexical repertoire, is directly correlated with perceived competence. If he had used informal language, the story's gravity would have been diminished no matter how successful the project was.
Okay, let's shift settings. From the corporate battlefield to the academic arena. Let's look at Elena, the Spanish exchange student preparing for a history seminar in London. Her context is different. She needs to establish intellectual rigor.
That's right. Elena's task is to communicate highly complex ideas to peers and a professor who demand academic fluency. She can't afford to sound tentative or simplistic.
So her formal scripting for the seminar, it uses this dense, precise statement. The advent of the Industrial Revolution in the latter part of the 18th century engendered profound socioeconomic transformations.
Again, let's break that down. A single sentence, but it's a masterclass, using a word like advent instead of just the start.
What does that do?
It immediately signals scholarly alignment. Start is pedestrian. Advent aligns the speaker with centuries of academic discussion on historical shifts. It shows she's done the reading.
And what about engendered instead of caused or led to?
It elevates the discussion. It confirms she's not just reciting facts, but understands the deeper catalytic nature of the historical movement. This type of vocabulary, often derived from classical roots, confirms the speaker belongs in that academic discipline.
And it's not just the words themselves, it's the measured delivery too.
Indeed. The source materials stress the importance of delivery elements in these settings. Measured pacing, a strict avoidance of colloquialisms that might distract or confuse.
No idioms.
Definitely not. And the strategic use of formal transitional phrases. Words like furthermore, in addition, and consequently. Elena noted that preparing her discussion in this strict formal style actually helped her overcome her anxieties about her English fluency.
How so?
Because she knew her structured language was sound. It gave her a framework to lean on, which made her a more confident contributor.
I find that incredibly useful for advanced learners, seeing formal English as a reliable framework for confidence. And we can build this confidence through practice. The source recommends a practical formalization exercise.
Oh, I think this exercise is crucial for expanding one's lexical repertoire. The goal is to take a completely mundane, everyday event and deliberately reconstruct it using formal structures and vocabulary.
It sounds challenging.
It is, but it sharpens your precision and forces you to move away from easy, informal shorthand.
Let's take the simple grocery mishap example from the source. Informally, how would we say it?
Informally, it's fast and focused on emotion. Ugh, I totally forgot my wallet and had to run back to the store.
Okay, I can hear that. Now let's transform it. What does the formal version sound like?
The transformation requires eliminating that casual tone and emotion. It becomes, I inadvertently left my wallet at the retail establishment, compelling me to return expeditiously.
Wow. Okay, let's look at the switches. Forgot becomes
Inadvertently left.
store becomes
Retail establishment.
and the emotive run back becomes the more passive.
Compelling me to return expeditiously. The language is now entirely detached, professional, and precise. It's a great exercise.
And this precision is truly indispensable in the world of business correspondence, where an ambiguous phrase can cost thousands.
Absolutely. When writing a proposal or a formal email, Specific, formalized language is required to maintain professional distance. Think of phrases like, pursuant to our previous discussion.
Instead of just, like we talked about.
You've got it. Or the intentional use of the passive voice, like, the revised budget projections are enclosed herewith, rather than, I enclosed the budget.
That's a great point. Why is the passive voice so common in formal writing?
Because it shifts the focus from the agent, from I to the object, in this case, the budget. It's more appropriate when you're discussing deliverables and professional content objectively. It's not about you, it's about the work.
That's a fantastic learning takeaway. Now, we also have to address the risk of alienation, especially with international audiences. There's that story of a moderator at a global webinar.
Yes, a classic mistake. The presenter used an informal idiom, cutting corners.
And for many non-native speakers or those from cultures where business language is strictly literal, that phrase was, well, it was completely opaque.
Exactly. They were left perplexed, trying to visualize someone literally cutting a physical corner, and they missed the intended meaning entirely.
So what's the rule here?
In formal international contexts, you must always choose literal expressions over complex, culture-specific idioms. The correction was simple. Revert to the formal equivalent, which is compromising on quality.
And that's universally understood.
Universally understood, and it maintains the necessary professional clarity.
Before we transition, let's expand on that cultural context. The source notes that formal English often underscores hierarchy, especially in some Asian business cultures. How does the language reinforce that social structure?
It's a deep sociolinguistic dynamic. In many traditional hierarchical cultures, formality is a non-negotiable part of showing respect. It's not just about grammar, it's social signaling. The language must reflect the deference due to a superior.
Can you give an example?
Take the layered politeness in a request like, it would be greatly appreciated if you could furnish the requested documents at your earliest convenience.
That is very formal.
Every part of it is. The conditional would be, the polite verb furnish, the deferential closing at your earliest convenience. It's far more than just being polite. It's an essential formal tool that helps expatriates navigate these professional environments by showing cultural awareness and respect for the chain of command.
Okay, let's put the precision instrument back in its case and pull out the everyday multi-tool. We are shifting gears entirely into informal English. This is the lively, expressive counterpart built for connection and speed.
And that's the key. It's engineered for warmth, humor, and immediacy. It sacrifices the exhaustive precision of formality for emotional bandwidth and, well, speed.
So we're looking for brevity.
Brevity, punchy sentences, and an undeniably subjective or emotive tone.
Which means the linguistic features are almost complete inversions of what we just discussed, correct?
That is absolutely right. We welcome the frequent use of contractions, slang, and idioms. In written contexts, you see flair elements like emojis, abbreviations, and exclamation points become standard.
And the function is different too.
Completely. The real-world function here is less about establishing credibility and more about fostering deep personal bonds in relaxed or collaborative settings.
Let's jump straight into the narrative of Sarah's coffee catch-up with her friend Mia. Here, the energy and immediate connection of informal speech is everything.
Right. Sarah's goal is to share a chaotic work anecdote quickly, and she wants to maximize entertainment and get some emotional validation. She says, "Girl, you gotta hear this work was a total zoo today. My boss lost it over this silly email mix-up, but I sorted it out in no time flat."
You can just hear the immediacy in that. The slang isn't just decoration, it's the core of the shared reality. Total zoo is instantly understood as chaotic.
Lost it for extreme anger, and in no time flat for rapid resolution. The speed of the communication is what matters most here. Very. For learners, informal storytelling focuses on conversational rhythms that build suspense, and then, or use rhetorical questions like, can you even believe it? And it always aims to land a satisfying punchline or an emotional conclusion. The brevity makes the story relatable and invites the listener to share their own story.
The style is, it's drastically amplified in the digital world. Social media is basically a high-speed, informal communication ecosystem.
That's a wonderful way to put it. Consider a simple post about a hike. Formally, it might take a whole paragraph to describe the ascent and the vistas. Informally, it's instant.
What would that look like?
Something like, Just crushed that hike legs are jelly, but the views, chef's kiss. Who's up for next time?
The language is visceral and highly condensed.
Yeah.
The emojis are rapid-fire emotional cues that create an instant connection with followers.
And the source gives that great road trip example. It demonstrates the narrative structure of an informal digital story, which often relies on a dramatic plot twist. That structure is designed to hook the reader immediately. It starts, road trip vibes, blasting tunes with the squad, chowing down on greasy burgers at a dive diner.
Setting the scene?
Exactly. And then,
Oh.
boom, flat tire in the middle of nowhere. What a plot twist. The interjection boom acts like an auditory marker signaling the sudden shift. And the phrase plot twist summarizes the entire emotional journey with humor. This is the multi-tool in action. Fast, expressive, and focused on shared experience.
Now, let's look at how informal language can be a deliberate tool for building connection in more professional or educational settings. The story of Jamal, the teacher in Chicago, is a great case study in audience awareness.
Jamal understood that traditional formal teaching language was often a barrier to connecting with his students. So to build trust and make his lesson stick, he deliberately code-switched into their casual lexicon.
So he might share a story from his own youth.
Right. Something like, yo, back when I was your age, we didn't have streaming, just boomboxes and mixtapes. Got busted dancing in class once, principal went off, taught me to pick my moments.
The phrases, yo and principal went off, are immediately authentic and accessible to his teen audience. They wouldn't get that from a textbook.
Certainly not. That intentional use of casual language signals to the students, I see you, I understand your culture. It encourages a connection that formal, institutional language often destroys. It signals closeness, and, as the source notes, in slang-heavy regions like the U.S., it becomes a powerful way to build social inclusivity.
Let's delve into the actual linguistic mechanics of informal English, starting with sentence structure and voice.
A key differentiator is the overwhelming dominance of the active voice in informal speech. The sentence is direct. It focuses immediately on the person performing the action.
I did this.
Exactly. I totally aced the test. Compare that to the formal passive construction we talked about earlier. The test was successfully completed by me. The active voice is efficient, quick, and it centers the speaker's emotional experience.
And that emotional element is what drives informal correspondence, like friendly emails.
Oh, for sure. Think about the difference. Formally, you might inquire about trip details. Informally, you lead with emotion and intimacy. Miss Ya, spill the tea on your vacay.
Spill the tea.
An idiom meaning, tell me the gossip. The language is packed with emotion and instantly fosters a warm bond rather than maintaining professional distance.
We see that same powerful enthusiasm in family narratives, like Uncle Raj recounting his trip. The language is designed to spark a chain reaction of stories.
Uncle Raj's story is a fantastic demonstration of how informal language creates excitement. He says, landed in India and bam, the street food hit different. Danced at the wedding till dawn, exhausted but lit.
So many great slang terms there. Hit different, lit.
And the interjection, bam, for sudden impact. His choice of words encourages the listener to feel the experience with him. And that, in turn, sparks reciprocal storytelling. This is the multi-tool being used to build the emotional structure of a relationship.
Okay, now that we have fully defined the characteristics of both styles, let's bring them into a direct comparison. Let's focus on the technical components, the vocabulary, grammar, and tone, because understanding these micro-switches is so essential for advanced learners.
The divergence in vocabulary is a great place to start. And it's not just about choosing a big word versus a small word. It's about choosing a word based on its origin and the feeling that origin gives.
What do you mean by origin?
Well, formal English often selects Latinate or French-derived words, which tend to sound heavier, more serious, and more intellectual. Informal English prefers shorter, often Germanic-rooted words or highly functional phrasal verbs, which sound light and direct.
Give us some of those direct comparisons again, but let's talk about the consequences of the choice.
Okay, if you need to get something, formally you would use acquire or obtain. Informally, you grab it. The feeling is completely different.
Right. Acquire sounds permanent, serious. Grab is fast and temporary.
You've nailed it. Or, in a business setting, look at the contrast in framing an action. Formally, the enterprise instituted a novel initiative. That Latin Vocabulary Institute novel initiative gives this statement a weight and professionalism that's perfect for a quarterly report.
And the informal version.
The company kicked off this cool project. Same information, but the tone is light, fast, and collaborative.
That shift in perceived status is so clear. And the necessity of having both vocabularies is perfectly demonstrated by Tom, who has to write two versions of the same message.
Tom's situation is the daily reality of code switching for so many people. He needs to ask his manager for a delay, which requires formality. He writes, "I solicit an extension regarding the deadline for the Q4 report."
Very formal, clear, professional.
So frees his subordinate status and the importance of the deadline. Yet a few minutes later, she texts a close colleague about the same delay, and he needs the multi-tool.
And what does that sound like?
"Yo, give me more time, bro. This report is killing me." The shift from solicit an extension to "give me more time, bro" immediately translates the message into a different social sphere. It allows for shared frustration and rapport.
Okay, and for advanced learners, understanding why that nuance is important is key. It allows for hedging and scholarly distance.
That's the point. And while we've touched on contractions, the rule bears repeating for grammar. Formal English strictly prohibits them, even the common ones. You'd say, "She will not attend the conference due to a prior commitment."
And informally.
Informal English not only permits contractions, but thrives on them. It even adds highly casual alternatives. So you might get, "She ain't coming. She's too busy." The acceptance of ain't signals extreme comfort and informality.
We also noted that sentence length is a major factor. Formality often demands intricate, longer sentences to prevent any misunderstanding.
The longer sentence serves as a self-contained unit of comprehensive thought. Look at a formal political statement. In light of recent regulatory developments concerning international commerce, it is imperative that we immediately reconsider our established strategic framework before the fiscal quarter closes. Every detail is captured.
And the informal version would just cut to the chase.
Completely. It pares that down to the essential action. Things change globally. We need to rethink this strategy fast. Short, direct, and focused on immediate communication.
Finally, let's revisit the grammar surrounding phrasal verbs and idioms.
Right. Phrasal verbs like put off, look up to, or blow up are deeply embedded in native informal English. Formal English consistently avoids them.
It prefers a single word equivalent.
It does, because that single word avoids cultural baggage and potential misinterpretation. If a project is delayed, formally you state, "The project was postponed."
And informally.
"We had to put off the launch major, bummer." The informal phrasing uses the phrasal verb and then tacks on an emotive commentary, reinforcing that connection between the emotional tone and the grammar choice.
So the ultimate difference is tone, how the language actually feels. Formal language insists on maintaining a strict neutrality.
That's the core of its utility. Formal language aims for neutrality and objectivity. It reports facts without coloring them with personal sentiment. The meeting adjourned promptly at 5 p.m. It's purely declarative.
And informal language is the opposite.
It's inherently emotive and subjective. "Meeting's finally over, I'm starving." The speaker's relief and personal state are immediately transmitted.
And this difference shapes how respect and warmth are communicated.
It does. In a formal context, respect is shown through structured, often impersonal language. Your input regarding the proposed changes is highly valued. It respects the position or the idea.
And informal.
In an informal setting, warmth and direct enthusiasm are prioritized. Love your take on that. Seriously great ideas. The latter is faster, more personal, and relationship-oriented.
And your earlier point about personal pronouns is also telling here, isn't it? Regarding objectivity.
It's vital. Formal discourse deliberately minimizes personal pronouns like I and we to ensure objectivity. It focuses on the evidence or the recommendation. It is recommended that the team proceed with the alternative proposal.
So it's not about what I think.
Exactly. By contrast, informal discourse, especially during a collaborative brainstorm, is entirely centered on personal involvement. I think we should definitely try that alternative proposal. The contrast between an impersonal, data-driven formal negotiation and a collaborative, I-focused informal brainstorm is stark.
Now we get to the heart of the matter for advanced learners, the practical application. We need to see these concepts in motion. We're going to detail scenarios that demand instant and precise stylistic fluidity.
And this is where the real skill lies.
Let's start with workplace fluidity and morale. Maria's dual day is an ideal example of modern workplace code switching. She works in a hybrid environment where she must maintain high professional standards while also fostering team cohesion.
So she's constantly switching all day long.
All day. Take her morning. She has to present performance metrics to senior leadership.
Okay, so this is high stakes. She has to use the precision instrument here.
Right. Her formal presentation adheres to strict language. The quarterly metrics indicate a robust 15% growth trajectory, primarily attributable to the restructuring of the distribution channels.
The language is precise, objective, and relies on formal business terminology metrics. Trajectory, attributable to.
But the moment that meeting adjourns and she connects with her immediate team for a casual debrief, the style has to shift dramatically. She needs to boost morale and encourage candid feedback.
Absolutely. She needs to transition from attributable to the restructuring to something light and celebratory. What does she say?
She might tell her team, "Awesome news, guys. Metrics look sweet, 15% up. That channel restructuring totally paid off. Seriously, who's buying lunch to celebrate?"
That's a perfect switch. The shift from robust growth trajectory to look sweet immediately lowers the pressure. She uses the informal style to create a sense of shared success.
And it encourages innovative, relaxed ideas from her team. She knows formality at that moment would stifle creative contribution.
Her ability to execute that transition is what makes her an effective leader. In today's work environment, you must maintain professionalism with the formal toolkit when documenting or reporting, but you have to switch to the multi-tool for immediate feedback and relationship building.
This necessary fluidity is magnified across our digital communications, demanding high digital savvy.
It really is. The communication style has to align instantly with the platform and the intended audience. Imagine a respected finance columnist publishes an analysis. A formal endorsement on LinkedIn aimed at peers and potential employers would state, "This publication offers invaluable, meticulously researched insights into the current market instability."
Structured, credentialing, professional.
But if that same columnist wants to share the piece with their casual followers on Instagram,
The language has to change completely.
it becomes immediate and visceral. "This analysis is totally fire. Awesome. Stop stressing about the market and read this ASAP." That direct, slang-heavy expression paired with emojis communicates enthusiasm instantly and speaks to a different audience focused on quick engagement. The switch is deliberate and necessary.
We also see the full spectrum when traveling, navigating high-stakes official interactions versus just socializing with peers.
Travel dynamics require instant code switching. Contrast to formal customs interrogation, which demands deference and precision.
Like, "Sir, may I inquire as to the purpose of your visit?"
Exactly. Compare that with the immediate shift required when you arrive at a hostel and meet fellow travelers.
"Hey, where's the best spot for grub around here? What's the vibe tonight?"
Two different worlds.
And you cannot afford to be casual with an authority figure, but being overly formal with a peer will prevent any relationship from ever forming.
Let's look at high-stakes situations where the context radically alters the appropriate style. Healthcare is a fascinating example. Healthcare involves dual communication goals: clinical accuracy, which is formal, and emotional support, which is informal. When communicating with a doctor for the record, formality is crucial for precision.
What would that sound like?
"I am experiencing persistent unilateral discomfort in the upper abdominal region, accompanied by intermittent nausea." That formality ensures the symptom description is objective and leaves no ambiguity for the diagnosis.
But when speaking to a familiar nurse or calling a family member for support, that rigidity just breaks down.
That's when the emotional, informal language takes over. "It hurts like heck. I'm totally wiped out and can't sleep because of this pain." The formality is for the clinical record. The informality is for emotional release and rapid sympathetic connection.
The legal and academic fields also demonstrate this perfect tension. In a formal court setting, the language must be extremely technical and impersonal.
You hear things like, "The defendant alleges that the contractual agreement was violated, and the plaintiff has presented documentation to substantiate this claim." Legal terminology is chosen for its specific binding weight. It strips the conversation of personal emotion.
But imagine a lawyer discussing that exact same matter with a friend over dinner.
The whole frame shifts. This whole case is nuts. I think we've actually got a shot at winning this thing, but the paperwork is driving me crazy. The entire emotional and structural framework changes, allowing for venting and quick assessment.
And within education, compare a formal university lecture versus a one-on-one tutoring session.
The university lecture demands formal structure to establish the complexity of the subject. The theory of relativity posits a direct correlation between velocity and energy, challenging Newtonian principles. It's declarative and structured.
And the tutoring session.
In contrast, the tutoring session aims for simplification and clarification. Okay, so this math thing works like. Just think of velocity and energy multiplying each other. It's not that complicated once you see the pattern. The informality breaks down the psychological barrier for the learner.
Finally, consumer interaction shows how you can use formality versus informality to achieve different resolutions.
Right. A formal complaint email is designed to trigger a structured, official response from a large company. I wish to return this item due to verifiable manufacturing defects pursuant to the warranty agreement. It's designed to be serious and official.
But if you're just at a casual retail counter?
The multi-tool is faster. The shirt's busted. Can I swap it for a large, please? The seam ripped. One is seeking a formal resolution, the other is seeking a quick transaction.
For our advanced learners, simply knowing the rules isn't enough. We need to discuss how to consciously integrate both styles into complex narratives and understand the critical global context.
Yes, moving from knowing to doing.
Let's start with advanced storytelling techniques. How do these styles change a narrative?
Well, formal narratives benefit immensely from established literary techniques that build credibility. This includes detailed, objective descriptions, the controlled use of foreshadowing.
What's an example of formal foreshadowing?
Something like a preliminary review suggested future complications regarding the supply chain. It's a very structured way of hinting at what's to come. And formal narratives often adhere to established dramatic structures, a clear beginning, middle, and end, like you'd see in a technical report.
So it's about making the formal narrative sound inevitable and well-researched. Informal narratives then must rely on speed and emotional proximity.
They absolutely thrive on different techniques. Informal narratives rely heavily on immediate dialogue to bring characters to life, the use of cliffhangers to maintain engagement, and, most importantly, the generous injection of personal emotion to make the listener feel connected to the storyteller.
So how can a learner actively hone both of these skills at the same time?
The most effective method is creating dual version stories. Take one plot, a failure, a success, a discovery, and write it formally. Focus first on verb switches, like changing found out to discovered or ascertained, and then move to complex sentence structure.
And then rewrite the same story.
Then rewrite the exact same story informally, focusing on dialogue and contractions. You can also do media analysis. Write a formal, structured critique of a film for a journal, and then write an informal, slang-filled recap of the same film for social media.
That's a great practical tip.
Using tools like Grammarly in its formal setting can also provide invaluable feedback on your precision level.
Now, we must emphasize the dangers of misapplication. Using the wrong style can be worse than using incorrect grammar.
That's a crucial point. The two major pitfalls are stiffness in casual settings and laxity in high-stakes professional settings.
Let's talk about stiffness first.
If you are overly formal at a friend's casual dinner party, using phrases like, "It is incumbent upon me to depart expeditiously," you risk making the conversation incredibly awkward. You alienate your audience by seeming stiff or distant, and you lose the chance to build rapport.
And the reverse damages professional credibility. It can lead to mistrust or a loss of respect.
Precisely. If you are too lax using slang, excessive contractions, or inappropriate humor in a formal presentation, you damage your professional reputation. Think back to the international risk of idioms we discussed. Using informal, culture-specific slang in a formal international context compromises clarity and shows a lack of professionalism.
The audience will just assume you're unprepared.
Or that you lack sufficient respect for the setting.
We also have to acknowledge that the definition of formal and informal is inherently shaped by culture. English is a global language, and the standards vary significantly.
That variable is immense. Consider regional differences. The UK, for instance, maintains a cultural baseline that often requires a higher degree of formal politeness in daily interactions than many other regions.
Even when just dealing with service staff.
Often, yes. There's an expectation of more elevated language usage.
Now, contrast that strong adherence to formal politeness with the United States.
The U.S. is generally characterized by greater informal directness. While formality is still mandatory in legal or high-level academic settings, the general baseline for workplace and social interaction tends toward informality far more quickly than in the UK.
So the acceptable boundary for casual professionalism is often lower.
That's a good way to put it.
And the source material highlights the fascinating case of communication in India.
India presents a unique, layered system. There is a strong cultural demand to maintain highly formal language to show respect and adhere to hierarchy.
Using those deferential phrases we discussed earlier.
Right. However, once a professional or personal connection is established, that layer of formality is often immediately paired with a deep, underlying informal warmth. Expatriate stories frequently illustrate the challenge of navigating this blend. knowing when to maintain professional distance and when to allow that genuine informal warmth to surface.
Finally, we must acknowledge the impact of technology on these two styles. Digital communication is constantly shifting the goalposts.
The digital age has accelerated the creation of the ultra-informal. Shorthand, truncated words, rapid-fire replies, and texting and instant messaging. It's a whole new dialect.
Yet, paradoxically, we've also seen the rise of AI tools,
which are exceptionally adept at generating sophisticated, structured, formal responses for professional emails or reports. The challenge for the modern learner is maintaining a consistent, mid-level professional tone in work emails when their personal texting habits are pushing the boundaries of informality.
And the future
of communication, maybe in real-time VR environments, will demand rapid, sophisticated, real-time code switching that blends visual and linguistic cues. It's only going to get more complex.
This has been an extensive and detailed exploration of the dual nature of English communication, the precision instrument and the multi-tool. What is the fundamental synthesizing insight you hope our listeners take away from this comprehensive deep dive?
I think the core insight is that formal and informal English are fundamentally complementary forces, not opposing ones. Neither style is inherently superior, but both must be profoundly understood and applied with confidence, based entirely on the context, your audience, and the precise outcome you wish to achieve.
So true mastery is having both tools ready.
True mastery of the English language is achieved when you can reach into your toolkit and select the exact right instrument for the job at hand. You are no longer limited to one mode of expression.
That is a wonderful conclusion. We strongly encourage you, the learner, to begin experimenting consciously with style switching in low-stakes environments this week. Try using a slightly more formalized structure when writing a simple email to a colleague, and just pay attention to how they respond.
Or try injecting an idiom or two into a casual conversation with an English-speaking friend and observe their reaction.
That experimentation, that self-correction, is what will unlock your confidence and fluency. So we turn the final question of this deep dive to you. What's your favorite style switch story? A critical moment where consciously adapting your English style truly made a critical difference in how you were perceived, either professionally or personally. Mull that over as you continue your own language journey. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel to keep diving deep into advanced English practice.